bit. Beth covered most of what I would say as well. Beth covered most of what I would say as well. I'm from a local group in town, Decline 9. Those pamphlets that are circling around are something we produce there. So to speak on a few more points of Line 9, physically where it is, it's up by Unity Road, just north of Kingston, so it is very close. It stretches all the way from Sarnia to Montreal. Sarnia to Westover, which is a little town by Hamilton, has already been approved. Now we're in the phase 2, which is from Westover to Montreal, trying to approve that. An interesting tidbit, I think it was just last week, there was a spill at Westover. It was considered minor, but minor spills are pretty devastating. I don't think anyone would walk up with a jug of used car oil and dump it in the river and think that wasn't so bad. So these spills are a lot more severe than that. So already we're seeing problems with the line. As Beth said, we can't really be looking to the structures that are in place, like these so-called democratic structures, because we see how those things are obviously not working. The NEB, the National Energy Board, which is in charge of approving the line or not allowing it to happen, now has, as Beth mentioned, whereas it used to be a lot more open, wasn't a perfect process, but it was a lot more open. Now it's been closed down to have this really long application form. They determine who's valuable, whose opinions are valuable, and whose aren't, that kind of thing. So it's harder to actually participate and get your say. As we know, it's a massive campaign by the government to keep producing tar sands oil, and that's a big economic drive for Canada right now. It's a big economic project that the government's really relying on. So you can't really expect them to step in the way when they promote it wholeheartedly, and obviously see it as more important than all the risks involved and all the human rights abuses and that are currently going on. We often say how even if, this line is an old line, it wasn't designed to ship this product, it's leaking already in Westover. We foresee it as probably leaking here. It was like a sister pipeline down in Kalamazoo that blew and did a massive devastating spill there. But even so, we don't even want to enter in that debate of whether or not that line's going to blow, because either way, it's going to be shipping tar sands oil. That production is brutal. It's when we look into that a little bit, we understand how just this project operating under all the proper guidelines and operating as per usual is actually consistently poisoning the environment, consistently forcing itself upon communities without any consultation. These companies and these projects claim to do public consultation through this NEB process, but we see that's kind of bogus. They just make it really hard to do. They make it expensive. They make it difficult. They don't really want to hear from it. That's more just a PR campaign to show, we're doing democratic process, but it's not happening. We see these companies also claim that Indigenous sovereignty and consultation is really important to them. And we also see how that's not true. For example, one company that had a pipeline going through Indigenous territories, their due consultation was a little paragraph on their webpage just stating this was going to happen. And it was up to people to go on their webpage, read it, and then contact the company and make a complaint or whatever. So really, this is all part of a giant PR campaign to glaze over all the really systemic problems that are happening. So that said, we think it's good. There are a lot of groups that are getting involved in the NEB process right now, and that's a good thing. But we can't rely on that alone. We have to be doing stuff like this. We have to get out on the street. We have to be more creative and learn to do things and make make change happen for us and not rely on these things that are kind of whatever. They're put out there for us to use, but they're really ineffective. They're just doomed to fail and waste our time and make us feel as though we're being listened to. Furthermore, a note on Kingston here. The Kingston City Council is well aware of the issue. They've had speakers come in, talk to them about all the different problems and ta-da-da-da-da. All they're even committed to do as a local government here, all they're committed to do is writing a letter. It's the least they could do. And I mean that. That's the least they could do. I spoke at one of those council meetings of the people who were in charge of deciding this, and I basically asked the basic question, and their kind of terminology was, what benefits does Kingston see from the line going through? Does the line give them money or something, or what's going on? None of those councillors knew any benefits that that Kingston might derive from actually doing this. So I said to them, well, strikes me that it's all risk and no benefit. So why would you want to even risk it? And the response to me was that was irrelevant because they said it was simply irrelevant because they didn't decide one way or the other. It was a strange response because basically what we were talking about was them getting involved in the NEB to put in an opinion, basically, and just take a stance and say, hey, we don't want this to happen because it's all risk and no benefit. But anyway, that's kind of the attitude that you're seeing in City Hall. So even going down to a local level where you think you might maybe be heard a little bit more, I don't think we're going to see too much action on that front, besides a piece of paper that's going to be written out to the NEB. Anyway, yeah, we see, Line 9 is just one issue. We understand that. It's one issue amongst a whole lot of issues that are happening. And a pretty problematic, way that this country is run in general. A lot of problems there. It's one issue within that, but we see it as like a battle within the war, as it were, and something that we shouldn't ignore. We need to mobilize around. We have to get our heads together and be creative and try to pressure, pressure to make this apply pressure where we can to make this stop. And we personally look,